You will never be happy. Yes, I said it. As long as you keep trying to be someone you're not, you'll live locked in an invisible cell. You're probably trapped, not in a concrete prison, but in something far crueler: comparison. And the craziest part? You locked yourself in, alone. The invisible addiction. Comparing yourself has become as automatic as breathing. You wake up and don't even say good morning to yourself. You go straight to your phone. There it is, the ideal body, the smiling couple, the dream car, someone else's success, and silently, you feel like you lost. Not a real competition, but an invisible war you didn't even know you were fighting. It's like running on a treadmill. It feels like you're going somewhere, but you never move. And worse, the treadmill is in someone else's house. It's cruel, because comparison is never fair. You're measuring yourself by someone else's window display with your own backstage mess. You don't see the failures, the tears, the debt, the loneliness behind the perfect selfie. You only see the shine, never the weight of the crown. And that drains you, because no matter what you achieve, there will always be someone with more beauty, more attention, more luck. But more is not the same as better. More could mean more pressure, more loneliness, more fear of falling. And in this sick cycle, life loses its flavor. You stop living to feel and start living to prove. To prove you're good enough, attractive enough. And forget the most important thing: to be truly happy. The crow. Somewhere among dry branches and a cloudy sky, a crow cried. No sound, just tears, like someone who's tired of screaming without being heard. His pain wasn't physical. It came from something deeper, abandoning his own essence. He believed he was worth nothing, too black, too ordinary, too bothersome. People chased him away. Kids threw stones. No one ever stopped to look. He was invisible. And when you feel invisible for too long, you start to believe that maybe disappearing is the only way out. That's when he met the monk, a calm man, one of those who seemed to carry 1,000 years of silence. Sitting under the shade of a tree, he felt a tear drop on his face. He looked up, saw the crow. But unlike everyone else, he didn't see a dark, ugly animal. He saw pain, and pain recognizes pain. What's making you cry so much, little one? The crow broke down. He told everything, that he was rejected, hated, alone, that no one loved him. And then he said something that cuts like a blade. It'd be better to die than live like this. The monk listened, didn't interrupt. He just took a deep breath and said something simple but profound. Happiness isn't in how you look, it's in how you see. But the crow didn't understand. How could he, when the whole world had taught him to hate himself? Then the monk made a proposal. If you want, I can turn you into anything you wish, but first, go find out if the one you admire is truly happy. That sentence sparked something. The crow had never thought about that. He wanted to be anyone but himself. But were those anyones actually happy? And so begins the journey. Not just the crow's, but ours too. If you like philosophy, this is where you will learn to silence your mind and live truly. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The Great Discovery. The crow took flight. He wasn't as beautiful as the swan or as vibrant as the parrot, but for the first time he flew with purpose, to find out if the grass was really greener on the other side, or just looked that way. He reached a serene lake where a swan glided through the water as if he was part of it, white as cotton, elegant, calm. The crow approached shyly and said, "You must be the happiest bird in the world. So beautiful, so admired. The swan looked gently at him, but his answer shattered the illusion. Beautiful? Maybe. Happy? Not really. Everyone thinks being white means purity, but being white is being invisible among all the beautiful colors out there. Sometimes I wish I were the parrot. He stands out. The crow was confused. It didn't make sense. How could someone so admired feel so incomplete? But the mission continued. He flew to a vibrant tree where a colorful parrot rested. His feathers were a spectacle, green, blue, red, yellow. He looked like he came from a fairy tale. You're the most beautiful of all. You must be the happiest too. The parrot gave a melancholic chuckle. Beautiful? Maybe. But free? Never. People love me so much. They lock me in cages. I'm afraid I'll fall asleep and wake up imprisoned. Do you know what it's like to live in fear of losing your freedom? The crow felt a strange weight. This mission, which seemed so simple, was turning into a mirror. Still, one bird remained, the most celebrated of them all, the peacock. It wasn't easy, but he finally found him at a zoo. Surrounded by people taking pictures, pointing, admiring, and once again the crow said, "You're a spectacle. You must be the happiest bird in the world." The peacock turned slowly, sadness in his eyes. I'm a prisoner of my beauty. People pluck my feathers to decorate their homes. I'm always confined, always on display, never alone, never in peace. If I could, I'd trade all of this for a little of your freedom. The crow's world flipped upside down. The birds he envied wanted to be him. For the first time, he looked at himself and began to see what he had, not what he lacked. The reflection is a lie. The crow returned in silence, but he was no longer the same. There was something different in the way he flapped his wings. It wasn't pride, it was lightness. For the first time, he wasn't carrying the weight of being less than. As he flew, he began to recall every conversation. The swan wanted color. The parrot wanted freedom. The peacock wanted peace. And he had all of that, but he'd been so busy looking outward that he never saw what was inside. How many times have you done that too? How many times have you ignored your own beauty just because it didn't look like someone else's? Comparison is cruel because it steals your vision. It convinces you that you have to be something else to be loved. But the truth is, no one is completely happy, not even those you secretly envy. Everyone carries some pain they don't show. Everyone hides insecurities behind smiles and filters. And when you compare your backstage to someone else's stage, you lose the one role only you can play, your own. That's where the danger lies, because in trying to be just like, you start becoming invisible to yourself. You begin to erase the parts of you that are unique, the ones that make you unforgettable. And for what? For applause that might never come? For validation that never lasts? Happiness isn't about appearing perfect. It's about accepting yourself as imperfect and still whole. The crow learned this. And you? Have you ever stopped to see who you are when no one's watching? Your freedom begins here. The crow landed before the monk, but now there was something in his eyes that had never been there before. Clarity. He didn't ask to be someone else anymore. He didn't beg for a new look or dream of changing his body. He simply said, "Thank you. Today, for the first time, I liked being who I am." The monk just smiled, because he knew true transformation isn't physical. It's internal. It's when we stop chasing better than and start valuing what makes us unique. This story isn't about a crow. It's about you. About me, about all of us who, at some point, believed we weren't enough. Maybe today you looked in the mirror and sighed in disappointment. Maybe you scrolled through your feed and felt a pang of envy, of frustration. Maybe you're trying to fit into a mold that was never made for you. And that's where the danger lies. The more you try to fit where you don't belong, the more you shatter into pieces. Comparison steals your time, your shine, your peace. It turns you into a copy when you were born to be original. You don't need to be the prettiest, the most followed, the most applauded. You need to be free. Free from others' judgment. Free from the pressure to impress. Free from the idea that happiness has a specific shape. You know what real luxury is today? Being yourself, unapologetically. No filters. No shame. Here's the challenge I leave for you now. Look at yourself with the eyes of someone who understands that every flaw carries a story. Every imperfection is a trait of what makes you real. And being real is what the world needs most. The crow's journey ends here, but yours might just be beginning. You can keep trying to be someone you're not, or you can make peace with the mirror right now, because the freedom you seek isn't out there. It lives exactly where you've been most afraid to look, inside. And maybe, just maybe, everything you thought was too simple about yourself is exactly what the world needs most: authenticity, courage, truth. Don't live trying to fit someone else's mold. Molds don't transform. Molds imprison. Be the crow who didn't want to be a swan. The bird who learned that flying free is more valuable than any applause. If this story spoke to you, it's not by accident. You needed to hear this today. Now, take a deep breath, let go of the weight, and fly.